Well, hello there, and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and today, as always, I'm joined by the man who is the Justin Bieber of his generation. I'm talking about Mike Roth.
That's the kind of your generation also.
Oh, that's not my generation, sir. That's your generation. You are the choice of a new generation.
I am Pepsi. Yes.
Hey,
no,
you bet.
That's terrible. Who wants to be the Justin Bieber of anything except for Justin Bieber?
He seems to like it. He seems to enjoy it.
The only thing good he's in is in movies where he made Zoolander 2.
He did? Is he responsible for that garbage? Did I not know something?
It was completely garbage, but any points I gave it was because, his demise.
Things are all explained to me now.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. All right, this week we have one movie on the marquee, Mike.
Yeah,
so the episode may only be 10 minutes long.
It's kind of an indie flick.
Right.
Most people haven't heard of it.
Right. There's only one movie at the box office this week, and it's the only one that we saw. But we are also going to roll into a really fun list for the second half of the episode, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah.
But before that, let's get into our movie on the marquee this week, and we're talking about Captain America: Civil War, the third movie in the Captain America franchise, and basically almost Avengers 3, you could call it.
You could call it a 2.5, I think.
Yeah. And it is from the Russo brothers directing this, and you basically bring back the entire team. We get to see the new Avengers team since the events of Age of Ultron. At the end of that, we saw like the new Avengers assemble.
It's actually easier just to mention who's not in it.
Yeah, we're missing Hulk and Thor.
There you go.
Otherwise, everyone else is there.
Uh-huh.
And we see them at work early in the movie. The movie opens at a frenetic pace as they are fighting Crossbones and his army of mobsters. And a great scene, and kind of echoing what we just saw in Batman vs. Superman. There is destruction, reminiscent of the earlier movies too, where there's a big destruction, and now we have to deal with the consequences. The fallout of you superheroes are destroying things and killing innocents in your quest to destroy evil, and you need to be put under control of the UN. You need to give up your choice, and you need to have more oversight over you, basically.
Yeah.
And that is kind of the edict that is given to the Avengers, and Iron Man Tony Stark agrees.
Yep.
And basically our Civil War split it's split along the lines of Team Tony Stark, Team Iron Man, and Team Steve Rogers, Captain America. No, we don't need to have oversight because then we were put together to have control. No, you are not a sovereign body. You need to, and this is the Civil War between them. Yeah. Sides are chosen, lines are drawn, and it's not hard lines. There's blurred lines. And we get to see an introduction of some new characters in this movie, which I really dug. You get Black Panther added in.
Yeah.
You get, of course, the new Spider-Man brought in.
Are you telling me Baron Zemo was a
Baron
good
Zemo.
choice?
We finally get to see Ant-Man joining up with the universe.
That was fun.
Yeah, we hadn't seen him with these guys before, other than the little brief moment in Ant-Man itself.
Well, you also see a new character with the same character because Ant-Man is the shorter version.
Right.
We also see Giant Man.
Love it. Love that. And the movie is basically Tony Stark struggling with a lot of things still. He's struggling with his past. He's struggling with the future of kind of what he's created by starting the Iron Man thing and the superhero program and the things that have spawned out of that. And he's struggling with what he should do with that and struggling with the consequences of herodom, I guess.
Yeah. Well, they've actually been foreshadowing this event for quite a long time. After the events of what happened in New York with the first Avengers, people were talking about all the destruction and death. It's finally came around to full circle where governments, not just government, but governments decided, hey, too many innocent people are dying, and there needs to be some kind of oversight or some training or something. Something needs to be done so innocent people
we need to have a committee.
Just don't die. Exactly. I actually took Iron Man's side. In the comic book, which we're not going to mention very much, but it was a totally different story, and I thought I could see both sides a little bit better than I did in this movie. With this movie, I'm pretty much strong on Iron Man's side.
See, I thought they did a pretty decent job of showing you both reasons for it. The fact that Tony Stark wants this because he sees, yes, we are having a lot of destruction. You see it's really affecting him. and the innocent people that are being destroyed. But you also have, because what I didn't mention is, you have the Winter Soldier, you have Bucky out as a weapon. He's been weaponized again, and Steve Rogers, Captain America, cannot give up on him. He knows that's not him. And if he's allowed to be taken down by anyone else, it's going to be bad news. He's my friend. He's still inside that body somewhere. I have to go get him. And so that kind of helps draw the line of which side of Bucky are you on?
Yeah.
And I thought they did a good job of showing his kind of reluctance that Bucky is his last link to his past. He knows that Bucky is the only link to the past, and everyone else that he knew and loved is dead, long dead, 100 years. And he can't give him up. Even though he knows, in his heart, I think he knows that, maybe it might be a good idea if it wasn't for this guy.
The only thing I didn't quite get, I would have actually liked to have seen Captain America's and Iron Man's stance switched. I could understand why Iron Man wouldn't want oversight quite as much. He was an entrepreneur. He did everything himself. He built his own little world, where Captain America, he is actually a product of oversight and control.
Right. He's the government program.
All the way down to being kind of put in place of the leader of...
and I think it's only because of the Bucky storyline that you couldn't do that. I agree with you. That actually would make a little more sense to me. I like the fact that Bucky was the reluctant weapon in this movie.
Yeah.
And he looked strong in this movie. And he wasn't just like a robot who is turned on and sent out to kill.
Yeah.
You see the human side of him.
They do have a little, they call it inside, but it's actually really dead on. Iron Man calls the Winter Soldier at one point the Manchurian candidate.
Manchurian candidate.
And it's like, yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of great little inside jokes, little cracks. So the movie is like a frenetic pace throughout the majority of it, but there's great little moments of levity. There's a lot of good little quick laughs between like the Winter Soldier and Falcon. They have some good ones. I mean, and there's some great ones. I've said this one other places, but my favorite is there's a moment where Tony Stark comes walking into a building. I'm not going to explain the scene too much, but Hawkeye is sitting. And as Tony Stark comes walking through, he says, "Oh, look, the Futurist is here, everyone. Hey, the Futurist, look at this guy." Now, if you don't know the inside joke, back in the 90s, Robert Downey Jr. decided he was going to try and become a singer. And I have the CD called The Futurist. Robert Downey Jr. singing, which is terrible. And so when I see him going, "Oh, look, the Futurist is here," I thought that was a hilarious inside joke that Robert Downey Jr. wouldn't even let them do that. Like, go ahead and take shots at me for that, because I shouldn't have sung. Great moments of levity, great moments of
introduction. I mean, really, how they brought in Spider-Man, I was a little worried, because if people who know me know that Spider-Man is my favorite guy, and I was a little worried that he was just going to be thrown in and it would be a confusing mess.
Well.
They brought him in. They didn't do this origin story thing. It was down to a couple of sentences of what kind of happened.
But it
and
worked.
Boom. And his character, actor for Spider-Man,
Tom Holland.
He was fantastic.
He
I am
was.
so excited to see him in more of the Marvel franchise.
In him and Ant-Man being like the two regular guys new to the team that are just big fans of everybody.
And that's
that
how
was
they
a lot of
recruit
fun.
him. That's awesome.
It was like, "Oh man, you're Captain America. Oh man, you're Iron Man." And I love that. The introduction to the Black Panther, he was great.
Yeah.
His motivation, his look, everything about him was great. His fighting, great action. Everybody, the thing I like about this movie, and it's so difficult to pull off, and we've seen how hard it is from other films, but Marvel, they made everyone look good, look strong. Every character in the movie was showcased. Everyone got their moment, their showcase moment. I thought it was really well done.
I thought there was one huge exception, and that's Baron Zemo, the guy, Daniel Bruhl.
I agree.
When they brought out his character, he needed some more backstory. He really did. The actor, I didn't really feel an evil or ominous presence. He just seemed like a guy that came in and for some reason was able to go through all the motions to infiltrate something that should have been locked down. You shouldn't be able to get up to the Avengers and kind of mess with them. If you read the comic books, you know that this person is a scientist, and he probably made all these things that were really great. But in the movie, they did not explain it, and it really brought down his character. I know some people are complaining that he's not wearing his purple mask that got adhesive done, but that's really corny. People shouldn't expect that stuff.
That is my main issue with this movie, is that, unfortunately, my main issue with Marvel movies seems to be their weaker villains. I've had to complain about several of the Marvel movies, even ones I love, like Guardians of the Galaxy. I think the villain in that is really weak. And in this movie, I think Baron Zemo is weak. And luckily, you're able to kind of offset that a little bit because you're pitting hero versus hero. So your villain isn't, it's okay if I guess the main villain isn't omnipresent, huge, terrible guy, because the real battle is watching your heroes fight each other. But Baron Zemo was not the menacing bad guy that you needed.
Well, I think that's not movie related, but that's another huge difference between DC and Marvel. I like Marvel characters better, but DC villains are really steal the show. And you see it in pop culture too. When people are talking about Batman, you find almost equally they're also talking about Joker, and it's crazy.
And one makes the other.
Yeah.
I thought that the fight choreography in this movie was great. We had some amazing scenes, amazing battles. The big battle in the beginning, the big battle as the teams just faced off and said, "Well, time to fight."
Yep.
And you get to see all of them work their powers.
It's it's something that they excel in. I said the same thing about Avengers 2. That ending battle was just amazing.
Beautiful.
Everybody is using their own skill, and you're watching
and nothing gets lost.
No.
Nothing gets lost, and you get to see everyone, but it doesn't feel like, oh, now we got to see what War Machine can do.
You don't see wasted punches, people just wearing someone down. Everybody is doing something creative and unique to their superhero power. It's really
I thought it was good. I loved there's a couple of almost quieter moments that bring a humanity to Scarlet Witch and Vision. I like that scene where you actually get to build a little character on Scarlet Witch who I want to see more of her because they've hinted at so much in her background in this cinematic universe. And Vision is just he just appeared in the last one, and I'd like to know more about what he is, because he is this unique. And so I like their dynamic throughout the second half of the movie.
I also, sorry to concentrate on complaints,
Please.
But unfortunately, and I hate to say this, Iron Man and War Machine, they're looking a little old. And I'm getting a little
they've been
worried.
in the game for a while.
I guess.
They've been in the game for a little while.
Currently, they're over 50.
They're ready to move on.
I'm hoping that it
But you know what? Here's the
become an
thing.
issue.
In this movie, we saw, again, Marvel using their amazing technology to give us a young Robert Downey Jr. looking like he stepped out of Weird Science.
That was amazing, wasn't
Just
it?
like they did with Michael Douglas in Ant-Man. This was like they took him out of Weird Science or one of those movies, like, young Robert Downey Jr., here you go.
This was done a little better than Ant-Man.
It was so great.
It was
Well,
creepy,
I mean,
good.
The thing is you have so much footage of young Robert Downey Jr. that you can use.
True.
You know, I mean, he's been in movies since he was a teenager.
Yeah.
But it's like they're just having fun doing that. Like, let's just do it. We can put anybody in.
It's actually amazing. They could actually spin this off many, many ways.
Forever.
Unfortunately, real people get old, and
that's too bad.
You wouldn't be able to do all the stories I'd really crave. I would love to see a Vision and Scarlet Witch spin-off. Yeah. Just like come
living
out
together?
next Valentine's Day.
Just living together in an apartment.
I read the comics, so I know it ends up tragic. I would love to see that, though.
Let's see it happen.
Awesome.
We're getting a Black Widow movie, though. That's been announced that the Black Widow movie is going to be coming.
Nice.
Yeah, that's in the works next. So that's kind of exciting. Or not next, but it is
Doctor
guaranteed.
Strange is next.
Right.
We got Black Panther after that.
I believe so. The timeline is confusing, but yeah, Black Panther is high up in that. But ultimately, before we move on, what did you give Captain America Civil War?
I give it a 3.5. I know I'm a little lower than the rest of the critics. Some of my issues, like Baron Zemo and the first half of the movie, I thought ran a little slow for my liking. But the humor, the personalities, I really liked it. It's a great movie. You definitely should see it.
It really is. I loved it. Captain America has become my favorite part of the cinematic universe. He was not coming into all this. Captain America was not my guy, but since then, I think Chris Evans has played it so strong, and it's been written so well that the Captain America movies are my favorite of the franchise. I really look forward to them, and I think Chris Evans has grown as an actor in these. And I love Sebastian Stan as a Winter Soldier. I think those two have a really interesting dynamic. I loved it, and I think this movie showcased the consistent writing and universe building that Marvel has done, and I think this really just showcased, like, check it out.
I think it's really the one thing that really does make this a Captain America movie is it's consistent with the themes of Captain America.
Exactly. They have not strayed. They've built this universe with a consistent vision, and it's paying off every time.
Captain America is more of a political thriller, and
that's what this was.
This was what it was.
It was
and
perfect.
It was great.
So, anyways, I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Baron Zemo knocked it down a half point for me. He really was disappointing to me, but still 4.5 out of 5. I'll give it.
There was one scene. I'm bringing it back again. Baron Zemo. He has this voice, and all you hear is the voice. I thought it was a woman's voice at first, and then when he came around, I was like, man, he's just not a menacing character.
Not scary at all.
Not scary.
So one of the biggest scenes in this movie, no question about it, is the ultimate fight scene between, there's two. The Civil War fight between both teams, and then finally the huge fight as Bucky and Captain America and Iron Man square off in the big battle. And great fight scenes, which led us to decide this week we are going to count down our top 5 favorite cinematic fight scenes.
And I admit right now, because I feel like I have to, I kind of screwed up. I really should have narrowed it down a little bit because there is just so many out there, and to narrow it down to 5.
Impossible. I was at like 20-some. It was so hard to pare down. I wanted to have in great in-ring fights, your Rockies, your Warrior, your Raging Bulls.
Yep.
I found, though, as I'm going through and deciding it, I had a lot of movies that I really liked, but I figured out, you know what? I don't like wire work, a lot of wire work in my fight scenes. So that took out like a Kill Bill or Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Matrix, all those things. But I love beautiful choreography.
Yeah.
And that's where my list is. But let's jump right in it with our number 5s, Mike.
All right. Well, should I go first?
Yes, it's all you. No pressure.
I went with the first 5 movies that I thought of off the top of my head. So that's my excuse.
I like it. Hey, own it. This is your list.
But I love this list anyhow.
All right, good.
Top 5, Spider-Man 2. My favorite Spider-Man movie. I love Spider-Man. This was between Spider-Man, played by Tobey Maguire, and Doc Ock, played by Alfred Molina.
Molina, yeah.
Molina. They're coming down from the clock tower, and they get on a train, and it's a ballet. Everything Doc Ock does to Spider-Man is a kill move, but through creative planning and great writing, Spider-Man just gets out of it every single time. I could watch Spider-Man gracefully fall for hours. And to watch this scene is just, it's beautiful. It is a piece of art. Man, I love this movie. If you have not seen Spider-Man 2,
it's the best of
get
those.
From out of that rock you're living in, definitely watch this. This is a great movie.
It's the best of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies by far.
I love how Doc Ock is throwing victims at him, and Spider-Man is so busy saving people and trying to get his foe at the same time. Man, that is a great scene.
Good stuff. All right, my number 5 is it's a brutal scene.
Okay.
It's beautiful. It's got Freebird playing in the background.
Oh.
You've got Colin Firth going at it. I'm talking about the Kingsman, the church scene, of course, as unexpected in this movie. You have Colin Firth, like English gentleman, playing a simple spy. You think you've got yourself like a James Bond type movie, right? Oh, of course, Colin Firth in a suit. Nothing crazy is going to happen like this. Oh, wait a minute. He just shot someone in the head. And then it becomes full-on amazing fight choreography.
Yeah.
It is beautiful to watch.
And that the soundtrack in the background just
Freebird
ramps it
just
up
going.
so much.
and the pace of it just builds and builds. It's like a freight train. And it's actually Colin Firth doing this fight. And it seemingly never gets cut. I mean, it just keeps going. And part of it is just how beautiful it is. Part of it is how unexpected it comes in the movie.
It's not a beautiful, like, a Christmas card ballet. It is beautiful as in just
watching everything happen, and the way he reacts. And I love this scene, and it's horrible brutality.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm a little jealous. I want this on my list. I really do, but I don't.
Maybe next time. Your number 4, though, sir.
My number 4, Old Boy, 2003, directed by Chan Wook-Park. This is a scene it's called the hallway scene, where you have Mr. Vengeance or Dae-Soo. He goes through what seems like an impossible task. he starts off in one end of the hallway. He needs to get to the other end, and there it's just filled with thugs. And really, no one has great fighting talent, but through sheer tenacity, Mr. Vengeance manages to get through, and it's brutal.
Yeah,
but
it really
beautiful.
is.
And I love how they cut the scene, and they have a great score in the background. It starts off with a brass horn, and it just sounds like this is going to be it. This is your, not really hero, anti-hero, final days, and as it's, or final minutes, and it builds into strings as people are one by one getting plucked off, and you're almost surprised at the end that he made it through. It's a great, great clip from that movie. The whole movie is actually great.
It really is. It's a great movie. Do not watch the remake with Josh Brolin.
No.
Don't do it.
I haven't seen it, and I'll
Don't
never
do it. I'm just telling you. Stick with the original. It is the best. All right, my number 4. My number 4 is fairly. Actually, most of these movies are fairly recent. But it is Ip Man. Ip Man,
Yep.
Donnie Yen as Ip Man, the man who trained Bruce Lee. And it is him versus 10 black belts in this dojo. And this scene is nothing but precision and concise use of movements. He doesn't waste anything. He doesn't have any flourishes to his movements. He just destroys guys and then stands there and says, okay, now what? And it shows you how the legend was born. And it is beautiful. And it's these kind of choreographies that I really love. Like, I love a nice Jet Li fight scene because he's flying all over the place and it's a crazy pace. But there's something about this scene where it's just, there's, like I said, there's no wasted movements, but fast. I mean, you can barely see these punches as he's hitting a guy 12 times in the chest. It's so great to watch. And this whole Ip Man series is great. I just really enjoy him.
Kind of feel bad for people who are listening to our show.
Yeah,
We
you're
are
not
playing
getting
the
any of this.
clips.
If you're listening to this on the radio on 103.5, I'm sorry. Go watch the scenes on YouTube. Go pull them up. Or you know what? Even better, go watch the show.
That is an extra
on
bonus.
KSUN.TV because it's great. Let me tell you. So,
Yeah.
moving
These
on,
things are
though.
awesome.
Your number 3.
Number 3, it's a really old favorite of mine. This is something I've always had to have on a better format, even when I didn't have that player. Ghost in the Shell, one of my first DVDs, first Blu-rays. At the end, it's basically a cyborg policewoman and her partner hunts down a mysterious, powerful hacker called the Puppet Master. This movie was made in 1995 and one of my first animes. At the very end, it is very kind of sad. It's an ending where the Major is fighting the spider tank, and you could tell that she is well overpowered. The way the music is playing is also beautifully scored. You feel a sense of loneliness for her, and at the same time, she's not giving up, and she keeps on going. And anybody who hasn't seen the movie,
Ghost in the Shell is a great movie.
It is a great movie, but
One of the few anime movies I actually enjoy.
it's beautiful. I can't. Man, I got to think of more words.
Beautiful is a good word.
You want to send me out another thesaurus?
We'll send you yeah.
But that scene, it hits me right in the heart. And
Gets you verklempt.
it's something I think of every time when someone says your favorite fight scene.
Nice. That's what it's all about, though. My number 3 is kind of similar. My top 3 are ones that just came right to the top of my head.
Yeah.
Number 3, because this is the man who was trained by Ip Man, the ultimate martial artist. I'm talking about Bruce Lee.
Oh, wow.
And there's so many to choose from. I mean, I love some Bruce Lee. I went with a scene out of Enter the Dragon, and even within Enter the Dragon, there's a bunch of scenes to choose from. I chose a scene where he is fighting all of Han's guards because it showcases all of his skills. You see him just punching, using everything that he has. Then you get to see him use a bow staff. Then you get to see him use nunchucks. It's everything, and it is Bruce Lee at his peak. I mean, he was the ultimate guy with martial arts.
Yeah,
and
everybody wanted to be him.
Oh, man. And you know what? It's just so great to watch. I was really enjoying preparing for the show and just watching clips after clip after clip of Bruce Lee. It was well worth this list. So Enter the Dragon, that's my number 3.
I have one that's similar, but that won't be my next one.
Okay. But what is your next one?
My next one, it's actually very short for a fight scene, but Raiders of the Lost Ark, Harrison Ford playing Indy, going up against a sword-wielding thug, and he's going to really show Indy his sword skills. And the fight scene ends by Indy going, "Yep, brings out his gun and just shoots him.
Iconic scene.
End of the fight. It is hilarious.
A lot of flourish with the swordsman.
A lot of
Oh,
flourish.
what's he going to do? Is he going to use the whip? Is he going to? Oh, nope, it's done. Okay.
I feel bad for the guy. I mean, he went through all this training to show
He
Indy.
practiced for years. His mom was so proud of him.
And then he
just gets
just
shot because
brings out the gun.
Harrison Ford wasn't feeling good that day.
Yeah.
He decided to use the gun instead of the whip.
That was an ad lib,
Poor
wasn't
guy.
it?
It was.
What was your number 2?
Okay, so my number 2 is from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yep.
And
It's the same one?
No, it is not. It is the scene I chose is Indy versus the bald German mechanic.
Nice.
Man, this movie this screams Raiders of the Lost Ark to me. It's the first scene where, like, could Indy actually lose?
Uh-huh.
There's no way. He's overpowered. He's overmatched by this. It's the first time in the movie that you see Indiana Jones as the true underdog. And he's probably going to get his head cut off by a propeller. And it showcases his tenacity and just everything that he does. There's that bald German. Oh, man.
The first time I saw this, I was so clenched.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a great fight scene, and I wish we had the 9 minutes to sit and just watch it, but we don't because the show is running long. But Indy versus the bald German. You're not even going to get to see the German in this clip, but hey.
He's there.
He's there. There he is, shirtless and ready to brawl.
I will make my number 1
Do it.
really quick.
What's your number 1?
My number 1 is Jackie Chan in Rumble in the Bronx.
Yes.
It's a scene where there's a shopping cart, and this is the first movie I ever saw Jackie Chan in, and he is fantastic. I look at it now and I feel, oh, that's a little dated, but Jackie Chan is awesome, and he needs to be mentioned as a number 1 on my list. What he does with a shopping cart with martial arts, I can't even do when I go grocery shopping. I can't even pull it out
fast.
of that little.
Look at him.
He's fast. He's creative. He's funny. He makes martial arts fun. I mean, it's always fun, but this is actually fun in the sense of it's entertaining and children love it.
You know what? I think what we're doing now is we're giving people a lot of movies to go watch.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. Go watch all these movies.
I want your number 1.
All right, my number 1. This was easy for me. This is, I think, my favorite action movie of all time.
Uh-huh.
And you can see by my list, other than Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's all been a lot of martial arts.
Yep.
And this is just a phenomenal one for me. And that's The Raid Redemption. There's 2 scenes in this movie that are in my top 10. But the final fight scene between Rom and Andy and Mad Dog, 2 good guys versus 1 bad guy, and it is the ultimate fight for me. It is brutal. It is long. It's intricate. It seems like it goes on forever. It feels like it's a half hour long as they are just brutally beating each other, and you think that everyone's dead at the end of it. And I love it. And like I say, the scene previous to this is probably number 9 for me. It's such a great movie, and the movie was stolen and remade into Dredd. If you've ever seen the Dredd movie, they basically took the script for that. But yeah, Raid Redemption, the best martial arts movie I've ever seen.
We're going to have to revisit this list again
Yeah.
with some different rules so
I
that
like
we
it.
can spend more time on this. Because
I'm in.
Really, we need to talk more about this. This is awesome.
I'm in. In fact, I'm going to go home and watch Raid Redemption tonight. But not before I tell you about what is coming out the weekend of May 20th.
All right.
Yeah, we have 3 movies that will be coming out that weekend. The first one is The Nice Guys, starring Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling as a couple of hitmen, a couple of tough guys going out, shaking people down.
Yeah,
It looks funny, and it looks
does.
interesting. It's set in the 1970s, has a really interesting feel to it.
every time Ryan screams, I'm like,
Speaking of crows and goslings, the next movie we have is Angry Birds.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you.
That was really good.
Yeah, Angry Birds, the movie based on an app, starring a whole bunch of voice actors, including Jason Sudeikis, who I just love. Yeah, looks fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you think so.
We'll see.
All right.
I don't know. They all look fun to me. And the final movie coming out that weekend is Neighbors 2, Sorority Rising. We get the sequel to the Seth Rogen, Rose Byrne, Zac Efron film. This time, it's a bunch of girls moving in next door, starred by Chloe Grace Moretz, and they're going to try and run them out of their house. And it's the old folks versus the sorority girls.
It looks funny.
I'm a big fan of most of the people in this movie.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen excluded, but I'm a big fan of most of the people in this
It's
movie.
his movie.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But so that's what we have coming out that week. We want to thank our sponsor, of course, before we leave you. Thank you to Marcus Theaters, the Palace here in Sun Prairie, for sponsoring us. We do appreciate that. Check out some Marcus Theaters when you can. We also wanted to let you know where you can find more from us on Facebook and Twitter. Real Reviews TV is what you want to search, and that will get you what you need. Next week, we're going to be talking about Money Monster. We're going to be talking about The Darkness. But until that time, my name is Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.